So what's up guys, it's Ash here and welcome back to a brand new video. Sorry that today's video is late. I was just playing quite a few games earlier. I was actually getting quite into it. So yeah, sorry that the video is a little bit late. And yeah, today we have some 4-4-2 custom tactics and player instructions. One of the most popular formations in FC24 with really good reason. It's extremely balanced in both the attack and the defense and fits to the meta of the game really well. So yeah, today we have some tactics and instructions and I hope you guys enjoy very much. And yeah, let's get right into it, guys. If you guys want coins for FC24, make sure you check out MMOEXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very fast, they're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you use my code Rema, you can get yourself a lovely 5% discount. Alrighty then, guys. So starting off with the custom tactics. For the defensive style, we have this on balance. Now, the reason we have this on balance is because I think it gives you the best control over your defense. So if you want to be like hyper aggressive, you can and press your opponent, whatever. And then if you want to drop off and then maybe be a little bit more passive, you can also do that. So I really like the control that balance gives me. That being said, you guys don't have to use this if you don't want to. You can pick something more suitable and it doesn't really matter. Now moving on to the width, guys, I do have this a bit higher than usual in the defense. The reason being is a lot of people do really like to go down the wing, don't they, in this game? It's really annoying. So we've gone for 45 whips, so we're still primarily narrow and compact in the defense to block out all of those attacks through the middle, but we also have that width in the defense to cover the wider areas in case an opponent goes down the wing, which, let's be honest guys, that is all anybody does in this game. So yeah, this is really balanced for me. That being said, if you want to tweak this to find something a bit better for you, that is also fine. Don't feel like you have to copy these, you know, number by number. It's not like that, guys. Moving on to the depth, we have this on 60. Now, there are a few different options you can have. One of the options that people like to use in this game is 71 depth. Now, the reason people like this is because the game basically defends for you. It gives you that automatic press from the AI, and it's very difficult for your opponent to play through you, especially through the middle because it becomes extremely congested. Now, me personally, I don't really like 71 depth after all the updates in this game. The reason being is I like to have more control over my defenders, so I like to manually defend as much as possible, and 71 depth doesn't really allow for that. So I prefer something like 60 where we still have that higher defensive line that you would have, but then you also have a bit more control over when your players press. So I feel like it's a bit more manual and a bit better for somebody like me that likes to control my defenders. If this is still too high for you guys, you can lower this even more, and that is absolutely fine. Just do whatever you need to do. Moving on to the build-up play, we have this on balanced. I do highly recommend balanced because it is the most consistent and the most varied form of build-up. So when you use balance, you can basically pick and choose when and where you use each type of build-up. So if you want to play slow, for example, you can. And then if you want to speed up and play a bit faster, you can also do that. So balanced is great in my opinion. I really like using it and I would highly recommend it, guys. For the chance creation, this one is an absolute must in my opinion. We use direct passing. Now the reason direct passing is so important is because it's the only instruction or tactic which will actually allow your players to break through those park the bus defenses. When you use direct passing, your attackers will commit these runs, wait for that defender to follow the run that the attacker's made, and then once the defender is overcommitted, the attack will track back so you can cut back to them. So it's a really overpowered attacking AI movement, even if it is a little bit boring. Another thing with direct passing is your attackers often like bunch up against the opposition defenders, meaning it's easier to isolate a specific player and take him on in a 1v1 play. So I do highly recommend this tactic, probably the most important of them all. For the attacking width, guys, a lot of you that have watched my videos for a long time will know I like to play through the middle as much as possible, but in this game you're basically cooking yourself if you try and do that all the time. So I found it important to up the width. I've gone all the way up to 60 to utilize the wider areas as much as possible. Can still go through the middle at some point, but it's just made attacking a lot easier because you can primarily go out wide with this width. It's a bit of a shame that this is what we have to do to attack in this game, but there's no question that it is really effective in this game. For the players in the box, guys, I have this on 5. This is bang in the middle. This is so we can get a few players into the box, of course, to help us finish off those chances, but we don't overcommit everybody. And then the corners and the free kicks, guys, I have these both on 1, but you guys can change this if you want. It's not a necessity to have them on 1. Now, for the player instructions, guys, on both of the strikers, we have them on stay central and get in behind. Now, stay central is very important because we don't really want these players drifting out wide. They are our strikers at the end of the day, so we do want them to be in the middle as much as possible so that they can always be relied upon. They get a little bit lost on balance width, which is not great. If you really want to have one on balance width, you can, but I really would not recommend having them both on balance width. Stay central is your best bet in my opinion. We also have them on getting behind, so we can always utilize those runs in behind those high defensive lines which people like to use. Gets us as many chances as possible. Now, some people might not like to use getting behind, and that is fine. If you're one of those people and you prefer to build up the play in this game, even though it's really difficult, you can pop them on mixed attack, and you might find that these attackers do a lot more in the build up, you know, like come short, other times getting behind, maybe just a bit more fluid, but getting behind is probably the most meta option in my opinion. Moving on to the left mid and the right mid, guys, we have them on comeback on defense, cut inside, getting behind, and get into the box for cross. Now, comeback on defense, pretty important, I think, in this formation. The reason being is if you have these players on basic defensive support, they can get a little bit lazy. They kind of forget their positions, especially if they have those low defensive work rates. So, comeback on defense is important to ensure that the team has the correct shape when we don't have the ball and make us nice and solid and compact. So, I think this one's a very important instruction with this formation, but again, if you guys don't want to use it, it's up to you at the end of the day. We also have them on cut inside because I really like this attacking AI movement. Your attackers will often start their runs like quite far wide, and then as they make the run, they'll make the inverted run into the more narrow areas. It's a really good attacking AI movement, which is hard for the defenders to mark, which is why I like it so much. We also have them on getting behind, so obviously they utilize their pace to get in behind those defenders. Since you're using wingers here as well quite often, this is very effective. I've noticed players are pretty static on balanced support, so I prefer getting behind as I feel like I get more movement out of them down the wing, and then get into the box for cross so these players don't hesitate in getting into the penalty area, guys. Moving on to the left centre mid, I use a more defensive minded midfielder, so this is somebody that's just going to stay back and basically be a rock for us. So we just have them on stay back, of course, and then cover centre. We don't want them flying forward if they are more defensive, so we just leave them to stay back and then cover centre to primarily cover those central areas in the defence, as we don't really need them to cover the wing. We've already got the left mid and the right mid to do that for us. For the right centre mid, guys, I like to use a more box to box style player, so somebody that will attack and defend and have a bit of a free role in the team. So we leave them on the default settings as we don't really want to restrict these players all that much, you know. We want them to attack, we want them to defend, we want them to do a bit of everything, so we kind of just like leave them alone and let them do that. The only important thing is cover center, so that they primarily cover those central areas as opposed to the wing, because like I said, we don't need them to cover the wing. We've already got the right mid and the left mid to do that. Now, moving on to the fullbacks, guys, on your more attacking fullback, it doesn't matter which one, to be honest with you. Some people like, does it have to be the left back? No, can be a right back, whichever one is your most attacking one. In my case, the left back. I have them on balanced attack and overlap. Now, this is to add that extra width, stretch out the opponent's defense, and give your attackers more space in the final third. This is especially useful since we have the left mid and the right mid on cut inside, which means they will often make those runs into the more narrow areas, leaving space for this player to overlap and then add that width. So you'll have attackers in the narrow areas and the wide areas at the same time, making this really hard to defend against. And yeah, so on your most attacking fullback, pop these instructions on and you should notice a good difference in your attack. For the right back, guys, or your more defensive one, it might be a left back. We have them on stay back and overlap, so we always have at least 3 defenders back at a time, but when we send this player on a run forward, they'll make the overlapping runs to add that extra width the same way the other fullback does. For the 2 centre backs, guys, I leave them alone. I do not touch them, of course, and the keeper, you can pop them on comes to crosses and sweep a keeper if you like, but I leave them on balanced. And yeah, that is basically it for the video, guys. If you have enjoyed or found this video useful, please be sure to drop this a thumbs up, as it does really help me out. And just a warning for you guys that if you are, you know, getting involved in Team of the Year, to only spend what you can afford. It's not worth, you know, going into debt or whatever, which sounds stupid, but, you know, it happens to a lot of people and it's a serious thing. So make sure you're only spending what you can afford. And in my honest opinion, I recommend you don't spend anything at all, because at the end of the day, just pixels on a screen, guys, you know, and everything's worthless in a few months when you get those 85 10s. So, you know, just be careful, but also have fun. You know, I don't want to be that guy which is like, oh, I have no fun. But yeah, I just thought I'd tell you guys that. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out, guys.